One of the things that I came to realize, especially in high school, especially looking at kind of my peers and the relationships they were falling in and out of, I came to really realize that relationships, especially that kind of relationship that we would say is meant to be between a man and a wife, but oftentimes, really physical, intimate relationships, is truly the key to happiness. It's the key to having stable families, which are really the key to having happy families. And individuals come really from happy families. And it's something that when I was graduating high school, I just felt very strongly and passionate about that this process that our movement, that our church has in place, was really the best process, at least that exists in the current world, to go into that kind of relationship. And that's why when I graduated from high school, I approached my dad and said I felt ready to go through the matching and blessing process.
At that point, I didn't think about the blessing at all. All the blessing was to me was what brought my parents together. And all I could see is their total commitment to each other and to the blessing and to the church and to the mission. And I really admired that. I could see the value of that already from that age. And but I wasn't thinking about it at all. The blessing was like, I was going to get married about, 20, 25.
The way it worked then is actually we would fill out an application. And it would include a picture, some medical tests, kind of some backgrounds about us, an interview with the national leader, similar to the application process that we have now. But the difference being that we would send that application to Korea, and our founder, Reverend Moon, would actually look at the pictures and match us according to our pictures. And this is what we called a picture matching. I sent in my application, and for that blessing, Reverend Moon said he wasn't going to do it anymore. So it was like the end of an era. And he said he's no longer going to match, that actually it's the parents' job to match their children. And I kind of was prepared for that. I knew that was kind of a possibility. I didn't think it would happen when I applied. But I think it really caught my parents off guard, especially my dad. So he really didn't know what to do. So then we had to kind of go through this discussion about, well, do you have any girls you like? Which was a bit awkward, and also like, what kind of girl do you like, and things like this. So we discussed about it a lot, and then my dad approached the sister's family. And again, because it was kind of a first in our movement and no one really knew exactly what the procedure was, the sister's parents just put my dad directly in touch with the sister. And then the sister was talking directly with my dad. And then after the call, my dad would talk directly with me and basically tell me everything that was being said. And it was very, it was awkward because, we were good friends. I didn't want to think of her any different than a friend unless something was decided, but things were kind of being discussed. So it was just, it wasn't a nice process, at least for me. And then at the end, the sister, again, because she was kind of caught by surprise in a way, she decided not to go through with it. And I didn't think that would bother me. I didn't think it would affect me. But in a way, it did, almost surprisingly. I kind of, when it was kind of decided, I actually went off and into my room and just cried a little bit. I guess it just kind of highlighted again, like how much is on the line with these relationships, how much people are so longing for relationships and how much it affects them maybe without them realizing it. So because I had been prepared to just submit an application and get an answer, I kind of approached my dad and said, look, this is the way I want to do it, right? I don't want you to tell me anything. I want you to, approach whoever you feel you should approach, pray about it, get some guidance, talk to mom. But just tell me, only talk to me when it's completely done. So my dad accepted that, but he was still really, really nervous. And he was still very worried about who to ask. So he asked me, okay, but before, I cut off communication with you about it, who should I ask? And obviously this was on my mind, so obviously like I kind of had different ideas. And I said, well, if I'm very honest, I think the first people you should ask are the Iverson family, because we lived together and our parents didn't get on very well. And again, we were discussing a lot about this idea of marrying your enemy that Father talked about. And also the fact that our mission was aligned to kind of be Cain and Abel families. I could tell my dad was actually scared to ask the Iversons. And he did say, well, what if they say no? Like, as if he was really afraid of rejection. And I said, it doesn't matter if they say no. Then you ask someone else. Like, but you still have to ask. Like, the responsibility is to ask. And then if they say no, it's a no. You ask some other people.
Halvard's reaction was, he laughed when Nathan actually called and asked for our daughter, who was 17, to be married to Eli. He just laughed and didn't consider it at all. But he told me about this phone call. And I thought, well, we didn't even pray about it. How do we know what's God's will? We have to at least pray for 7 days and find out if this is right.
The day my mother approached me, she came up to me while we were walking together to Tesco, because at that time we didn't have a car. So we're all walking there with our bags, and she came up to me and she's like, so Vicky, what do you think of Eli? And from the tone, I knew instantly what she meant. And I straight away went, no way. He's my brother. Like, I can't think of him anything else. Like, that's just ridiculous. I'm too young. Like, no, I need my freedom. Almost instantly, the instant reaction was no. I'm not thinking about it, not interested. It's just I didn't feel I was in the right place at that time. Still really young. I couldn't imagine thinking about another person in my life. Obviously very immature and self-centered at that time. But then my mum said, well, we got a call from Nathan Lowe, his father, and I said we would think about it. We're going to do, would you agree we can just do 7-day prayer condition, couple conditions, and think about it, because we really should take it seriously, because this could be it. This could be God's will. So you can't just reject something that could be the one. So I agreed to that. So after 3 days, my mom came up to me, and we both had a similar feeling that actually we couldn't imagine anyone else for me. And reflecting on that, my mom still had quite a few questions, though. She's like, fair enough, this could be the right person, but is it the right time? Vicky might be too young. And also another question like, is he the right person? Physical appearance. These questions that she, obviously a loving mother, had for her daughter. She wanted to be absolutely sure, being my mother. So in the past, my mom would often receive dreams. Often she would get songs in her head, and the lyrics from those songs would often answer her questions. So the first question obviously was, is she too young? Am I pushing Victoria too early into this blessing? And so then she received a dream. And this dream was a very powerful message.
This evil force or Satan was chasing our young people of our church, the second generation of our church. It was chasing them. And I was in a safe place. I was in a room which I knew was safe. And when I woke up, I knew that room was the blessing. Anyway, the evil force was chasing them. So I was calling the second generation to come into this room where they would be safe and he wouldn't be able to catch them. And they just put me off saying, yeah, we will come to the room. We will come, but not now. We will come eventually or in the future. Even we've got other things to do. We're not coming now. And the sad thing was the evil force caught some of them and they'd never made it. When I woke up, I knew this room was a blessing and some of them wouldn't make it. They were delaying it, and by delaying it, they'd be sidetracked, tempted into other things. And so that was another confirmation for me that Vicky should get blessed, that we shouldn't worry about her age and being too young. My next concern then, when I realized, okay, he's the right person and she's not too young, then I started to think about external things, really. Is he too small? Is he too fat? Crazy things like this. And I was Yeah, this was on my mind. I thought, I'm sure she's taller than him. So then I was still praying about that, and I had another song came into my head, which was the song from Beauty and the Beast. And I told Vicky about that song that was going through my head that morning, and she said that was because Beauty wasn't worried about external appearance. What really matters is the internal character. And so that's how I could go ahead with it despite any height or weight problems. Another strong experience I had, another time I woke up early in the morning with a song stuck in my head. It was just a line from an old song I remembered, maybe from childhood, and it was, I Googled the line, and this was a song that described throughout all ages, situations don't change. It's always a man meets a woman or the woman meets a man and they fall in love, get married, and it basically confirmed that we should go ahead with the matching.
I remember very clearly the day because it's actually two of my friends' birthdays. I got a call from my dad in the evening, and he said I was matched to Victoria Iverson. And I just remember being really, really happy to be matched. We had our blessing ceremony 11 years ago this week. And in the beginning, it was obviously tough. It was long distance. We didn't know each other that well. A lot of misunderstandings. But basically, every year, I feel like we know each other better. We become closer to each other. We love each other a little bit more. And I think now, like, I really feel we're kind of at the point where almost where most couples start, you know, or maybe past that point where, like, we're falling in love. But it's kind of within a very gradual process rather than this kind of instantaneous or uncontrolled emotion that just flies out of left field, where this was kind of a slowly, gradually built kind of falling in love.
I always notice there's always one person that needs to be more patient than the other. Obviously, I was younger and I wasn't in the blessing frame of mind. Like, he was already ready to move and, you know, be together, and, you know, I don't think like a couple. I was still very, like, first couple of years, I was still very, it was just about me kind of thing, you know? I didn't involve Eli into my decisions. I made that mistake. Like, I decided, oh, I'm going to study this, or I'm going to go to STF. So I'm very grateful for his patience. I think we got there in the end.